folks need to leave right now.
Officer, we're just eating lunch. We just ordered. What do we do?
I've had complaints. You're causing a disturbance. You need to vacate the premises.
A disturbance? We're sitting here with our kids. Who complained?
That's not your concern. Leave voluntarily or this becomes an arrest situation.
Officer Keith Morrison believed he was responding to a valid complaint. As a patrol officer with the Lakewood Police Department, he treated disturbance calls as serious business, especially in family-friendly establishments, where business owners wanted to maintain what he called standards. When he received a call from Betty's Diner about a disruptive family at 12:30 p.m. on a sunny Sunday afternoon, he responded within minutes. But when he walked into the diner and saw a black family of 4 sitting quietly in a booth eating lunch, every biased instinct he'd nurtured over his 14-year career told him they were the issue. They didn't fit his image of Betty's usual clientele. Their presence had apparently made someone uncomfortable enough to call the police, and in Morrison's biased judgment, that was reason enough to remove them. What he didn't know, what he'd completely overlooked in his rush to enforce discrimination, was that his own body camera was capturing everything. Every word he spoke, every gesture he made, every moment of his racial profiling, captured in high-definition video with crystal-clear audio from his own equipment. The very device designed to shield officers from false claims would become the evidence that ended his career and cost the city $1.8 million. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like these need to be shared, and your support helps us bring more truth to light. Officer Keith Morrison had worked for the Lakewood Police Department for 14 years, building what his supervisors called a solid record of community policing. But underneath that reputation were 23 complaints over 12 years from citizens alleging discriminatory enforcement and harassment of minorities in public spaces. Each complaint had been reviewed by internal affairs and dismissed as misunderstandings. Morrison had learned that as long as he claimed to be responding to business owner requests or citizen complaints, his department would protect him. The Lakewood Police Department had implemented mandatory body cameras 3 years earlier after a series of misconduct allegations. Officers were required to activate their cameras for all citizen interactions, all calls for service, and all enforcement actions. The policy was clear. Failure to activate body cameras could result in disciplinary action, but in practice, officers sometimes forgot to turn them on or claimed the devices malfunctioned at crucial moments. Morrison himself had failed to activate his camera on at least 12 documented occasions over the past 3 years, always during interactions that later resulted in complaints. But on this Sunday afternoon, whether out of routine or sheer confidence that he was in the right, Morrison had activated his body camera as he stepped out of his patrol car. That decision would prove to be his downfall. Dr. Marcus Henderson, 41, was a pediatric surgeon at Children's Memorial Hospital. His wife, Angela Henderson, 39, was a corporate attorney at one of the city's most prestigious firms. They lived in Lakewood's upscale Westridge neighborhood and were raising their children, Tyler, 9, and Maya, 7, with an emphasis on education and dignity. They were accomplished professionals, but they were also black, and that meant they still ran into discrimination. The Sunday afternoon had started beautifully. The Henderson family attended church, then decided to have lunch at Betty's Diner, a local institution known for its comfort food. They'd been there twice before without incident. When they arrived at 12:15 p.m., the diner was moderately busy with the after-urge crowd. They were seated in a booth near the window, ordered drinks and meals, and were talking quietly while Tyler and Maya colored on their kids' menus. Everything had been normal until a white couple in a nearby booth started staring at them. Dr. Henderson noticed but ignored it, focusing on his family. The staring continued, accompanied by whispered comments. Then the white couple got up, walked to the counter, and spoke with someone who appeared to be a manager. 5 minutes later, Officer Morrison walked through the door, his body camera activated and recording from his chest, capturing everything at eye level as he scanned the restaurant. Morrison's body camera footage would later show exactly what he saw when he entered: a peaceful dining room with families eating, quiet conversations, children laughing. The camera panned across the restaurant as Morrison scanned the space, and when it landed on the Henderson family, the only black customers in the restaurant, Morrison walked directly toward them. The footage captured his approach, his hand moving to rest on his duty belt, his posture aggressive. "You folks need to leave right now," Morrison declared, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. The body camera recorded the Henderson family's reactions from Morrison's perspective, their confused faces turning up toward him, the moment of shock and fear crossing their expressions. Dr. Henderson set down his fork, his hands trembling slightly. "Officer, we're eating lunch. We just ordered. What did we do?" The body camera's microphone captured the tremor in Dr. Henderson's voice, recorded his hand reaching instinctively for his son's shoulder, a protective gesture clearly visible in the frame. "I've had complaints that you're causing a disturbance," Morrison said. The camera recorded his own aggressive tone, the way he stood over the family. "You need to vacate the premises." Angela Henderson's voice wavered, her legal training failing her in the moment of shock. "A disturbance, officer. We're sitting here with our kids." We're just eating." "Who complained? What specifically did they say we did?" The body camera captured Angela wiping her eyes quickly, trying to maintain composure in front of her children. It recorded the fear in her voice, the confusion evident on her face. "That's none of your concern," Morrison said dismissively. "Leave voluntarily or this becomes an arrest situation." Dr. Henderson's voice cracked slightly. "But we paid for our food. We haven't. I don't understand what we did wrong. Can you please just tell us what someone said we did?" The camera captured Tyler looking up at his father, the 9-year-old's face showing confusion turning to fear. The audio picked up Maya beginning to cry quietly. "Sir, don't make me ask again," Morrison said, his tone hardening. The microphone recorded every inflection, the threat barely concealed. "You and your family need to leave this establishment immediately, or I will arrest you for trespassing." Angela pulled her daughter close, her own eyes filling with tears. The body camera recorded it all from Morrison's perspective. The humiliation of a family being threatened for the crime of eating lunch, captured by the officer's own equipment. Before Dr. Henderson could respond, a voice cut through the tension from off-camera. "Officer Morrison, what the hell is going on here?" The body camera swiveled as Morrison turned, capturing Bill Thompson, the actual owner of Betty's Diner, emerging from the kitchen. Thompson, a white man in his late 60s who had owned Betty's for 30 years, looked between Morrison and the Henderson family with alarm. "Mr. Thompson," Morrison said, his confidence intact. The camera's view steadied as he faced the owner. "I received a call about a disturbance. I'm handling it." "A disturbance?" Thompson moved closer, now centered in the body camera frame. "From who?" "I've been in the kitchen. Nobody told me about any disturbance." Morrison's hand gestured vaguely, the movement captured on his own camera. "One of your customers called it in. These people need to leave." The body camera recorded Thompson walking past Morrison toward the booth, the frame following his movement. "Dr. Henderson, Mrs. Henderson, have you been causing any problems?" "No, sir," Dr. Henderson said, his voice steadier now. The camera captured his face as Morrison watched the exchange. "We've been sitting here eating with our kids. We haven't bothered anyone." Should police officers who remove customers from businesses without legitimate cause face federal prosecution? Comment your thoughts below. This wasn't just harassment. This was an officer using his authority to enforce discrimination, and his own body camera was recording every moment. Thompson's voice rose, now clearly audible, on Morrison's body camera. Then there's no disturbance, and they're not leaving. They're customers who paid for food. The body camera captured Morrison's hands tensing, visible at the bottom of the frame. "Mr. Thompson, I received a complaint." "From who?" Thompson demanded, now facing Morrison directly, centered in the camera's view. "Show me." Morrison's camera view shifted as he pointed toward an empty booth. "They were customers who they left," Thompson interrupted. The camera showed his body language shifting, becoming protective as he stepped between Morrison and the Henderson family. "And even if they were here, I don't remove paying customers, because someone's uncomfortable with their presence. This is my diner, and everyone is welcome as long as they're respectful and pay for their food." The Hendersons have done both. The body camera's microphone picked up the diner going silent. The footage captured several customers in the background pulling out phones, though they didn't know about the professional recording happening from Morrison's own chest. Morrison stepped closer to Thompson, the camera recording the attempted intimidation as Thompson's face filled more of the frame. "Sir, if you don't support police efforts to maintain order in your establishment, order." Thompson's voice rose, the body camera's microphone capturing every word clearly. "You're trying to kick out a family who's done nothing wrong. That's discrimination." The body camera captured Morrison's jaw, clenching, visible as he looked down briefly. "Mr. Thompson, I suggest you reconsider. The police department has a good relationship with your business. You wouldn't want that to change. The threat was unmistakable on the recording." The camera captured Thompson's expression, changing recognition of what Morrison had just said. "Officer Morrison." Angela's voice came from off-camera, and Morrison's body camera swiveled to face her as she held up her phone. "I'm Angela Henderson. I'm an attorney. I'm recording this. You've just threatened a business owner for refusing to discriminate against us. We haven't broken any laws. If you arrest us, there will be consequences." Morrison's own body camera now recorded Angela holding her phone up, capturing the irony that there were now two recordings of the same interaction from different angles. "Ma'am, put that phone away or I'll confiscate it," Morrison said, his voice captured by his own microphone. "For what?" Angela asked, visible in Morrison's camera frame, her hands shaking but holding the phone steady. "Recording police is legal. You know that." Thompson stepped back into frame, positioning himself between Morrison's camera and the family. "Officer, I'm telling you as the owner, these customers are welcome here. They've done nothing wrong. I'm asking you to leave my diner." The body camera recorded Morrison standing there, captured the moment of silence as he processed what was happening. "You're making a mistake. Both of you will regret this." The camera recorded his turn, his walk toward the exit, the view bouncing slightly with each step. It captured the relieved murmurs and scattered applause from other customers as he left. What Morrison didn't realize as he walked out was that his body camera had recorded everything. Every discriminatory word, every threatening gesture, every moment of the family's fear, the very device meant to protect him, would become the primary evidence of his misconduct. Morrison returned to his patrol car and, following standard procedure, uploaded his body camera footage to the department's secure server at the end of his shift. He wrote a report claiming he'd responded to a legitimate disturbance call and that the family had left voluntarily after he'd explained the complaint. The report made no mention of the business owner contradicting him, no mention of his threats, no mention that the family had been entirely peaceful. It was a fiction designed to justify his actions. but the body camera footage told the true story. When the Henderson family filed their complaint with the police department 3 days later, the department's internal affairs unit was required to review all relevant evidence, including Morrison's body camera footage. What they saw contradicted Morrison's report entirely. The videos from customers' phones had already started circulating online, showing the confrontation from different angles. But when the Henderson family's attorneys subpoenaed Morrison's body camera footage through the discovery process, they obtained the definitive recording, high-definition video with perfect audio, capturing every moment from Morrison's own perspective, recorded by equipment the department had provided specifically to document officer interactions. The body camera footage became the foundation of everything that followed. It was irrefutable. Morrison couldn't claim the audio was unclear or that the video didn't show what really happened. This was his own equipment, his own recording, capturing his own discriminatory enforcement. Civil rights organizations filed Freedom of Information requests for all of Morrison's body camera footage from disturbance calls over the previous 3 years. What they found was revealing. Of the 89 times, Morrison had activated his body camera for business disturbance calls. 73 involved complaints about people of color. The footage showed a consistent pattern. Morrison approaching minorities and businesses, making immediate assumptions of wrongdoing, threatening arrest for vague violations, and in many cases, forcing people to leave despite business owners saying there was no problem. In 12 other instances where complaints had been filed against Morrison, his body camera had mysteriously not been activated, conveniently leaving no video record of interactions that witnesses described as discriminatory. The investigation expanded beyond Betty's. Morrison had responded to similar calls at 9 other businesses. In total, body camera and witness evidence documented that he had removed or threatened 47 people of color over 4 years based on complaints that were transparently racist. Internal emails showed Morrison's sergeant was aware of the pattern. In one email, Morrison had asked about handling complaints from residents about undesirable elements in local businesses. The sergeant responded, "Use discretion if business owners want assistance maintaining their clientele standards. We support them within the law." That email, combined with the body camera evidence, proved departmental knowledge and tacit approval of Morrison's discriminatory enforcement. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the district opened a federal civil rights investigation. This wasn't just one incident. The body camera footage from multiple interactions showed a systematic pattern of discrimination enabled by departmental policy. Federal prosecutors built a case not just against Morrison, but conspiracy to deprive civil rights involving his sergeant and the department's implicit approval system. Morrison was arrested 6 months after the diner incident. He was charged with multiple counts of conspiracy to deprive civil rights under 18 U.S.C. Section 241 and deprivation of rights under color of law under 18 U.S.C. Section 242. His sergeant was charged as a co-conspirator. The federal trial lasted 3 weeks. Prosecutors presented Morrison's body camera footage from Betty's Diner, which played on courtroom monitors in devastating clarity. The jury watched from Morrison's own perspective as he targeted the Henderson family, ignored their explanations, threatened them and the business owner, all while the family sat peacefully eating lunch. Then prosecutors presented body camera footage from 17 other incidents showing the same pattern of discriminatory enforcement. 47 victims testified about being removed from businesses while doing nothing wrong. Bill Thompson testified about Morrison's threatening behavior. Statistical experts presented data showing Morrison's selective enforcement pattern. The defense argued Morrison had acted on legitimate complaints, but the body camera footage contradicted this at every turn. The video showed peaceful families, showed no disturbances, showed Morrison's immediate targeting based solely on race. Morrison rejected multiple plea offers, insisting he'd done nothing wrong. The jury deliberated for 2 days. The verdict: guilty on multiple counts of conspiracy to deprive civil rights and deprivation of rights under color of law. Under federal sentencing guidelines with multiple victims and abuse of authority, Morrison was sentenced to 3 years and 10 months in federal prison. His sergeant, who pleaded guilty before trial, received 18 months. The civil rights lawsuit filed by the Henderson family proceeded separately. Their attorney sued Morrison, his sergeant, and the Lakewood Police Department for civil rights violations, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and systemic discrimination. Morrison's own body camera footage made settlement negotiations short. The city's attorneys knew the video was indefensible. The case settled for $1.8 million plus mandated reforms, independent civilian oversight with investigation power, mandatory bias training with quarterly testing, body camera activation, mandatory for all calls with severe penalties for non-compliance. All body camera footage from business calls reviewed by Civilian Oversight Board, demographic data collection on all business removals with public quarterly reporting, zero-tolerance policy for selective enforcement documentation requirements for all removal requests. The settlement included provisions to contact and compensate the 47 other victims with a $400,000 compensation fund. The case became landmark in addressing police-enabled discrimination. Law schools taught it as an example of how officers' own body cameras can provide irrefutable evidence of civil rights violations. Bill Thompson's diner saw increased business from customers supporting his stand. He implemented a policy prominently displayed, "All customers are welcome at Betty's Diner. We do not tolerate discrimination of any kind." The Henderson family used a portion of their settlement to establish the Henderson Equal Access Fund, providing legal representation to discrimination victims who couldn't afford attorneys. Officer Morrison served his federal sentence, still maintaining he'd just been doing his job. He never apologized to the Henderson family or his other victims, never acknowledged the harm his body camera had captured so clearly. The irony wasn't lost on civil rights advocates. Morrison had activated his body camera following department policy, confident that he was responding to a legitimate complaint. That body camera, meant to protect officers from false accusations, instead became the primary evidence of his systematic discrimination. His own equipment recorded his bias, his threats, his pattern of targeting minorities. The lesson was clear. Body cameras work both ways. They can protect officers who act properly, but they also document officers who abuse their authority. And when an officer's own body camera captures him discriminating against a peaceful family eating lunch, there's no defense, no excuse, no way to spin the narrative. Officer Keith Morrison walked into a diner expecting to remove a black family, as he'd done dozens of times before. He forgot in his rush to enforce discrimination that his own body camera was recording everything. His 14-year career ended in federal prison, brought down by the very equipment meant to protect him. The Henderson family walked into Betty's Diner for Sunday lunch. They experienced blatant discrimination. But Morrison's own body camera captured the evidence that held him accountable and created lasting change. If you believe police officers who selectively enforce the law based on race deserve federal prosecution, and that body cameras must have real accountability, subscribe and turn on notifications, because tomorrow we have another story that shows technology meant to protect can also expose the truth.